This is the Babyface's Blaster. At the cost of 2 less rounds in the magazine, this scattergun side grid will allow you to deal damage to fill up a boost meter, which will increase your movement speed the higher the meter is filled. However, taking damage and double jumping will decrease the boost meter a considerable amount, and if that wasn't bad enough, you're left with a permanent 10% movement speed reduction. Now, for the longest time, the Babyface's Blaster confused me. I always brushed it off as a fine yet difficult weapon to use that Scout doesn't really get all that much from in the long run. But over time, I've seen many people in my comments come to the Babyface's Blaster's defense, swearing by it for its power and speed. So, I decided to challenge myself. I got a strange Babyface's Blaster, turned it into a Deathloop reference, and I set out to accumulate 100 enemy kills with it in an attempt to crack what exactly makes this weapon click for some people. And what are the results of this little experiment? Well, the challenge lasted around 3 days, so let's go through the notes and thoughts I've piled up during it day by day, starting with... So the first thing I have to bring up when using the BFB is the fact that my movement generally just feels unreliable. Constantly swapping back and forth between moving at the speed of sound and driving around in a Walmart mobility scooter means that I'm whiffing a lot more shots than I could usually hit. The constant up and down feeling of my movement speed is just throwing my aim all over the place, and it's not super fun. It also doesn't help that double jumping drains my boost, so now my vertical mobility is permanently hindered unless I wish to give up my boost in return. It's not all bad though. One of the first tactics I deployed was to use the Rap Assassin, which helped out a lot in the early game. I heard a lot about bleed damage giving the BFB a big help, and I gotta say people were right. Having pretty much all damage from any of Scout's slots fill the boost meter allows the BFB to combo with quite a few of Scout's tools quite well, particularly the Rap Assassin. Having what's basically a passively regenerating boost is very nice, and the fact that I'm still doing damage to enemies is also a nice bonus, since it means with some fancy footwork that remote source of boost can turn into another kill to tack onto the Strange. Although I gave the Flying Guillotine a try, I found it wasn't that much more useful since I was already using the Rap Assassin and I was getting enough boost from that as it is, so I picked up the Mad Milk, which is pretty much always handy for everything. The health gain was nice to have since it often counterbalanced any lack of boost I had in the moment. Who needs movement when I can just keep getting back health? Towards the end of the day though, I found that the added movement speed helped out a lot in closing the distance and finishing off enemies, allowing me to finish fights that wouldn't have the speed to finish with just the stock scattergun. The BFB is pretty solid so far, but my opinion would soon skyrocket with... So the boosted movement speed is actually kind of awesome. This added speed is not just really nice, but getting to zip around from one end of the map to the other in literal seconds, it could be a lifesaver at times. Even if it's balanced out by not getting to be that fast for too long. In practice, your base movement speed isn't even that bad. Sure, it's detrimental in places, but you're still outrunning most of the classes by default, even if it's just like a little bit. It's also important to mention that as long as you have no boost, double jumping doesn't actually come with any real punishment. There's no point in purposefully not double jumping if you're boostless. Nothing to really add, just kind of something I noticed. To be honest, getting boost in general is pretty easy. A single meat shot will fill it up all the way with no problem, and 2 medium range shots can do the same thing. Losing boost can be a hassle, but getting it back can be pretty easy if you know what you're doing. In all honesty, the Babyface's Blaster in general is just a scattergun with some movement gimmicks. There's no major changes to its core functionality like the Force of Nature or Soda Pop or the Shortstop, not even any minor changes to its spread like the Backscatter. It shoots like a scattergun, reloads like a scattergun, does the same damage as a scattergun, and its only downside to the weapon is 2 less shots in the magazine, which isn't even that bad. I tried out some new combos out of curiosity, and I found that the Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol and the Winger were pretty good. The Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol can serve the purpose of both the Mad Milk and the Rap Assassin, not only softening enemies while filling your boost meter, but also giving you health in return. It's kind of wonderful. The Winger is handy too, due to it increasing the jump height of the one jump that you have. It's also really nice for when you have no boost, since now that there's no punishment for double jumping, you can offset your lack of horizontal movement for vertical movement, basically trading one vertices for another. I'd like to also just bring up real quick how nice the weapon looks. I love the minor parts about the weapon, like the carved out foregrip, the detailed little screws, and the chunky stock paired with the muted but pleasant colors. Look at that little bit that moves the lever, it's great. The BFB has a shocking amount to love about it, and I will probably continue using it even after... I'm top scoring now. I got MVP with the weapon once. How? I'm shocked at how good the BFB, actually is. I was expecting this experiment to fall completely flat on its face, but no. It's a really good weapon. You just kind of have to get used to it. I am shooketh. by how well I'm doing with this weapon. It's insane. I'm not even using any fancy weapon combos anymore. I'm mostly just sticking to milk and a funny sign. At first I only did it for the funny ha-has, but the more that I got used to the weapon's style of hit and keep hitting, I found that there were more distractions from the weapon's primary style than that of useful tools. They're handy, don't get me wrong, but I just found shooting the guy to be a lot more useful than trying to hit him with the ball. You get in, hit meat shots, use your speed to try and avoid incoming attacks, and see if you can leave the fight with as much boost as possible. Then you just use whatever boost you have left to keep the ball rolling. It's shockingly simple. I spent the rest of the day just getting the final few kills I needed, and once I got to 100, I decided to swap back to the scattergun for a bit. The BFB is pretty damn good, but the scattergun is a lot more reliable overall. Now, the possible movement speed boost you could get from the BFB is really fun, but the scattergun does not put any movement speed restrictions on you or punishes you for double jumping, which is very refreshing. And those 2 extra rounds are pretty handy to have. The challenge is done. 100 kills in 3 days. So what are my thoughts? Well, it's good. This is pretty simple. This is the weapon of a scout that wants to master their abilities. And I gotta say, folks, if you want to work on a weapon, this should probably be the one. Because if you can get past the downsides of the weapon, this thing can decimate. I 100% recommend you give the gun a try, and for those that don't know what the fuck the reference is even about, maybe you should go play Deathloop because it's really good. Not as good as IGN said it was. That was cringe, but it's really good anyway. You should try it.